Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm Laura Oswald, Director of Marketing at the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's always a joy to welcome international guests to Paducah to share their creative culture, craft, and artistic perspective. Today, I'm wearing denim because we have a very special artist here, Ian Berry, who works specifically in denim. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for what you call a nice southern welcome to Paducah. Yes. Everyone's been so nice to me since being here.
Well, we're so glad to have you, and you have spent a few days here already as artist in residence. So tell us a bit about your first few days here in Paducah.
Well, first we arrived on Sunday, and obviously a lot was closed. And then it was kind of like, after coming from Nashville, it was like, where did we come to? But then we started meeting people, and the sun came out, and it's just been such a nice, warm community here. I've met every night I've been invited to dinner somewhere. Everybody's been so welcoming, and I mean, I'm jumping straight into my work right now, but a lot of people don't realize all my work is about community, and more so the lack of it. And coming here, it's actually seeing a really strong community is actually really kind of nice to see.
Awesome. That's inspiring to me. So I love seeing that it is to you as well. And I know that our viewers are hearing a bit of a different accent.
Yes.
I didn't introduce where you're from. So if you would tell us just a bit about your background, where you're coming to us from, and how you ended up here in Paducah.
Well, if I go back to my hometown, they don't realize where I'm from anymore because my accent's a bit messed up. I'm English. But from Yorkshire, which is the northern part. But I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Sweden, I lived for a little while in Amsterdam. Great. So my voice got a little bit messed up. Let's just put it that way. Accent. Yes. So a bit like denim, I've travelled quite a little bit.
Yes, yes. And like you said in your bio I was reading about how denim is a universal element. It's a connector. So in all those places you would have this deep connection already.
Well, interesting, like Amsterdam, where I lived, is now one of the denim capitals. The denim capital of Europe is where a lot of the design goes on, at least, and the inspiration. My hometown is an interesting one because it was the heart of the Industrial Revolution. So in the denim story, people often talk of denims, which is where denim comes from, and Genoa, where jeans comes from. And then it suddenly jumps to like a few hundred years to San Francisco. But my hometown and home area in the north of England was a place the Industrial Revolution happened, and those machines is obviously what kick-started the mass-produced world that we have now, which Levi Strauss in San Francisco wouldn't have been able to have without the technical expertise which my home area actually developed, but no one ever talks about that.
Well, we love that you bring that perspective and that rootedness in the history of the art. Is that what inspired you to get into working in denim?
No. It was just a really simple observation of just seeing a big pile of jeans, the different shades. My home area is actually famous for the woolen industry, and over the hills in Lancashire was the cotton industry, which is obviously what leads to denim. So it's not necessarily a denim area or anything, but as we've said, denim is so universal, everybody wears it. I've been in quite a few schools here and all the kids are wearing it. A lot of the adults are wearing it. I'm not sure if they're wearing it just for my benefit.
No, it's all the time. It's very standard.
And I mean, denim comes from a very country background, and we're very much in country here. You know, it was famous for the miners, famous for cowboys, you know, working on the farms. And it was only in, particularly this country, in say the 60s and 70s when the famous people started wearing it, the icons, Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, Brando, in certain films, that other people started wanting to look like them, wearing it. And for me, growing up with denim, and especially the kids today, who denim's the only item other than sportswear, really, it's just surprising me that there's a time when it wasn't the go-to item of clothes.
Right. And so now that it is, you saw that pile of denim.
Yes. Yeah. So I went back to my my parents' house, or my childhood home, and my mum had emptied a lot of my cupboards because she realised I was never going to move home after uni. And just looking at this pile of jeans and just like, well, what do I do with them? Like, there's a lot of memories in there, and clothes and especially jeans take on a lot of memories.
Right.
Once you wear them, it takes your form. A lot of the marks, the scratches, the fading brings back memories. So I started cutting them up just for fun, developing a technique, and then eventually I took them into work to photograph and scan and try and get copies, and other people would see them. And I think there was something in the denim which brought people into it. And that's why I say even now with my work that it's not all me. It's like there's about 40 pairs of hands that touch a pair of jeans before it even gets to a shop.
Right.
And I think their craftsmanship, their skills, I borrow in my work. And then there's something in the denim which people are familiar with. Even people who are quite scared of art kind of are intrigued by my work and feel more comfortable,
right,
like coming in and viewing it.
Right. And I love that you talk about that there's that connection because of the hands that touched it or the memories that were made. You are here also, in addition to being artist in residence, as an exhibitor at QuiltWeek. So not that what you do is quilting per se, but there is a parallel there with the fiber art. And we often hear here in Paducah about how visitors have a connection to quilting in some way because a family member did it or they grew up with that quilt. You know, there's a connection to the fibers and the memories that are stitched into that art.
Yeah, well, obviously quilting is there's a lot of connections because people think of their mother or grandma or somebody making it, and it's like cozy kind of feel. It's often given as gifts, so there's that angle of it. So you mentioned like fiber art, and I'm not a quilter. I'm not even as skilled as that. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with a long arm machine or a sewing machine. I use it very differently, but obviously there is a perception, like I mentioned, like the mother, grandmother. And I'm a young male being brought into this kind of part of the art world. And sadly, sometimes those people are always standing out. And say back in London, in the art world, I feel like as a male, like white male in England, I'm English, is actually not that interesting anymore. I mean, we've spent a long time as a focus and being revered kind of thing, and I think maybe it is time that we're the bottom of the pile, but suddenly coming into the quilt world, males are celebrated, maybe a bit too much, I think sometimes, not all of them, because there's so many skilled, amazing women out there who are absolutely inspirational to me as well. I've met a lot of them who are so skilled, talented artists, and I want to be here, and I've done projects with schools to show that, you know, it's not the cliche.
Yes.
There's some really amazing things happening, some really talented artists, some really gifted people, and you know, we need the next generations to come in, and you know, they will do something different, but they can be inspired by what they see.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, like especially young boys who maybe want to be artists, or girls who don't want to do the typical things, hopefully can have seen me the last few days and think, well, if he can do it, I can, because he's pretty average. he's like a normal guy.
And it is an unexpected type of art. You know, I think that these children, like you said, you were at Paducah Tillman High School for a full day.
Yes.
And many of those students have grown up hearing about QuiltWeek and Paducah hosting these events and being known for quilting. But to see someone like yourself come in that has a very different perspective on fiber art.
Yeah, well, I'm sure
inspiring.
I probably look a bit different to what they see as the normal 30,000 people coming into town. You know, and like, you know, denim is kind of cool, so I try and tap into that when I'm talking to the kids. You know, it's much different. It's crafted a different way. They were able to recreate my work, well, not my style of work, a lot easier than, say, having to do a quilt, because I wouldn't be able to even make a quilt if I tried right now. So you know, it's quite a simple thing because jeans are readily available everywhere. Hands are available, scissors are available, and glue is available. In fact, the scissors are not always available because that was their problem. They didn't have good enough scissors, and a few of them complained about that. And when they saw my scissors, I think they they thought I had an unfair advantage.
Oh. Well, I think that that is so wonderful, and we always appreciate that with our artists in residence, seeing them connect with our students and our future artists, our future creatives.
Well, I offered to do that mainly because when I was asked to teach adults, and I was a bit like, well, what do I teach? You know, as I say, most of them are quite skilled on machines, and you know, what extra do I teach other than being me? So I wanted to be an artist growing up, and I was from a kind of a small regional town, and I didn't really have the artistic inspiration from the people there. You know, I was brought up with there's no career in art, there's no future. So I went down a different route at first. So I always want to try and help kids to see that it is possible. Yes. And it's not just art. I want them to think, well, if I want to be a musician, well, I want to try and pursue that. If I want to do something a little bit different than a 9-to-5 job, which 9-to-5 is fine for a lot of people, but if you want to be going down a creative route, often people dismiss it. And I want them to see that a reasonably young guy, hiding my grey hairs at the moment, that it can be possible with a lot of hard work. And you know, I mean, parents, I understand. Mine were the same. You know, at first they wanted me to go down a different route, and you know, the cliche of a starving artist, and you know, Van Gogh and this kind of thing. I think it's quite damaging to young minds. So I wanted to go in and at least, if I had left, give him one hope that, well, I can believe I can be an artist, I can be a fashion designer, I can be a musician with a bit of hard work and persistence and commitment, then it's possible, rather than just thinking, I'm never going to do anything with my life.
Right. And I think that your talk, certainly like you said, what you're able to teach is how to be me, you know, that originality, and follow your passion.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be creative.
I mean, so I ended the classes often by saying, okay, well, I've been working with denim. Does it make you think like which other material you could use? Or is there any material from around here which you could take and recreate, and like just basically teaching people how to think a bit differently?
Yes. Well, we love that. And I did see that you went back to your own school recently. Was that different than typical talks?
Well, but both schools have just been recently in my hometown, my own school, and the one, it actually took me back to that age, and that kind of like tearing between like wanting to do good or wanting to be cool, wanting to, you know, which, you know, and you could have gone any direction. I mean, there's so many turning points in my life where I could have ended up doing something completely different. So it does take you back, but it made me more determined to try and like really try and connect with these kids.
Yes. Well, I know that we've referenced your work and that it is all denim. Your biography reads, at first glance, many believe that Ian Barry's work is blue-toned photographs or indigo, colored oil paintings. This is not only when viewed online or in print, when much of the depth and detail is lost, but even up close, even at touching distance, many viewers don't realize that they are looking at many layers and shades of denim jeans. To create that illusion, to create that incredible image and work of art, there must be quite a process for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been challenging myself over the years just to get more and more photorealistic. And I actually genuinely thought at the beginning I'd go quite abstract. But I've been trying to utilize the denim in a way that, you know, finding bits, and I'm always learning how to use it, even now, every day, and using it in a way that it tricks the mind to think it's a painting or a photograph. The only problem with that has been recently that maybe I've been a bit too successful with it, and people don't realize it's made of jeans, and so they see it. And I don't want it to be about the gimmick of denim, but sometimes that amazement that it is made of denim is actually that aha factor. So one of the reasons I actually said I would do this as a special exhibit is because a lot of these people know my work, they've seen it in print or online, and it becomes very flat. And without somebody seeing my real work, and you've not seen a real work yet, I actually don't even feel like an artist in front of them, because nobody understands it. They think it's flat, they think it's painted on denim, they think it's bleached or something. And all it is layers and layers of jeans, and some of them can be about this thick. So you can put your hand into some, and so this last week, again, a lot of the people I've met haven't seen a piece before. I get the piece out, and they're like, oh, I didn't understand it. I know you said it looks different in real life, but this is so much different. And me being a Northern English guy, I'm like, glass half full. Oh, so what do people think of my work if they've not seen it? So I took the opportunity to bring it here, 30,000 people to see the work in real life, who have only seen it in print before, because it is so much different.
And what will you be? You'll have a special exhibit. So what types of work will you have?
I've probably gone a bit over the top, and I could have just brought some work and hung up. And I've explained to them it's not like quilting. I can't just pack it in a suitcase and bring it and put it up. They come in big crates. But because my work is quite labour intensive, and a gallery recently sold quite a few pieces which was destined to here, I gathered a few of the installations I've made, and I thought I'm going to put them all together and make a whole row of shops.
Wow.
One will be a vintage record store, which had been a dying breed when I first did that, but actually great news is that they're actually coming back a little bit, and album sales are actually going up.
Right.
One would be a laundrette, which I'm turning into a laundromat, from an English laundrette to a laundromat, which in England they're all closing down. I'm not sure what it's like here.
We still have some here.
Yeah, I mean, we still have them, but in London it went from 3,000 to 300.
Wow.
And you know, this was a heart of a community, and like the record store was the heart of a community where a lot of people met, talked, like-minded people came. And as I said when we started, that communities have been dying, and okay, you get online communities now, but it's not the same as the people around you. The other thing will be an actual gallery, which will show my work inside it, and then there'll be like a communal garden, which is very much based on New York. And in New York, there's all these community gardens.
Right.
And, you know, you think of, say, kids growing up in New York. I mean, this actually just showed in a museum in New York. And if you think of kids growing up in New York, you think we're always on the phones. A lot don't have gardens because they're in apartments. Will many get out? And I wanted to create this space where it made them and their parents think when we go, oh, this is really cool, but there's a community garden near us. Should we go there more often?
Right.
So I'm going to put it all together and make a row of shops, which, you know, people who come can interact with and go inside and take pictures or whatever.
That'll be unlike anything we've seen at QuiltWeek before.
Well, that's the interesting thing, is that, you know, like it happens every year, and now twice a year. So I'm sure like some of the people who live here probably just think, oh, it's going to be the same stuff. So it'd be good if they come in, or if this goes out afterwards, they have been in and come and see something different. But that, by bringing them in to see, say, my work, they'll come and see everybody else's work, and I'm sure they'll find a lot what they like in there.
We talked a little bit about the fiber art world, and I think that that's something that we want our local viewers to realize, but obviously many of our other viewers and people in that world realize that it's not just the same thing every year.
Yeah.
We are seeing very, very different special exhibits, very different contest quilts and special events. Being part of that big world, what do you feel your place is in that?
The place in the fiber art world? Because I came from a very different background. I was actually inspired by street art and urban art. Like growing up, like at uni, I was going into London every week in the early 2000s, and I was exposed to all the street art. I try not to mention Banksy's name because it's such a cliche now. I mean, he's great. He's such an inspiration. His mind was really great, and you know, then there's all these other street artists, and it's that attitude of like, you can walk on the street, you can be inspired by art. So even over here, I've shown a lot more in, say, that kind of context. And it's only over the last several years that I've really been invited into the textile, the fabric art, like the fiber art world. And there's some so special, amazing things in there, so varied. But I mean, first and foremost, I mean, I'm an artist, I think. And textile is my medium. Denim's my medium. It's the way I kind of see the world. I'm just painting with denim. I have the same issues, but I don't necessarily want, and I don't think anyone should be just pigeonholed as fiber artist, quilter, this. You know, we should think bigger than that. but what's been really great about actually coming to Paducah a week before the exhibition is that I've actually not just come and seen suddenly this madness of like your town descended with 30,000 people and just seeing quilts and fibre art. I've actually been out and I've spent the week meeting artists who live here. And it's really inspiring to meet all types of artists who have chosen Paducah. I've either grown up here or moved from somewhere else, and to actually see a community who actually supports each other and looks after each other and helps grow a community is actually really inspiring.
And
I think a lot more people around America and around the world should know about it more.
Well, you're a good opportunity for us to help share that for sure.
But I'd love my town to do something like that, my hometown. Because, you know, I was one of those who up ship and left, and I mean, okay, I went to different countries, I kind of came closer to home, but, you know, I felt that London had to be the place I had to live to be an artist.
And I think that we hope that our students, and we appreciate our artists in residence and our local creative community embracing our future creatives, like I said, for that reason. We want to see people come back and invest in their own community, that idea of community and creativity in all forms.
Well, as I said to some of the children who felt that, you know, because I'm from a small town, you know, a lot of people grow up thinking, well, you can't get out, you can't do this. And I was saying to the children that, you know, soon they're going to be the young adults of Paducah, and it's up to them as well to actually be a part of what everybody else has been doing. And sometimes people think that it's somebody else's job, but it's actually as much down to them to actually help grow and start what. I mean, I'm not sure how long Paducah's been growing like this. I mean, I met somebody yesterday who moved here in the year 2000, and it's obviously growing and growing. And you know, when industries decline and when other like creative industries come in, it's actually really exciting to see what happens. And I hope it grows in the right way, because you see success stories like that, and then everybody else wants to come and live here, and then the artists no longer can afford to live there. Whether that would be a success for the town or not, because that's kind of the model of how, you know, areas of New York have been, how Asheville in North Carolina is. There's towns in England who have that. You know, where I am in East London is was the cheap area for artists to live, and now all the artists are moving out. So,
there's no doubt
so there's a difficult balance, but it is. I mean, a lot of people who don't get it, you know, they think, oh, why invest in the arts? But it actually brings a lot of more exciting things. And in Paducah, it's just like, wow, you walk down this beautiful high street and you go in a store and it's just like walking in a Williamsburg coffee shop or like a bar or a restaurant, and the foodie culture is really amazing. So I just hope more people can come in and see all that and stop on highways and see all the same old chain stores and stuff.
Well, we thank you for being part of that. And I think that commitment to the arts has been building in Paducah for quite a long time. And like you said, you may think it's someone else's job to keep that going and think about what's next. But we enjoy what we have because of the people before us. And so it is kind of that continued investment. And we, like I said, we appreciate you being part of that here during your residency and during Quilt Week. One thing that I haven't really touched on, I saw, as I was cyber stalking you, quite a lot of your work, and I know that I haven't seen much of it in person yet, but some of the most stunning pieces to me were some of the pictorial portraits that you've done. You've done some for very famous people as well. Tell us what that's like, and are some of those your favorite pieces, or what is your favorite piece that you've created?
Yeah, it's not probably the portraits, because you know they're the ones because they are famous names that the media pick up on and the ones that people talk about. You know, my favourite body of work was the one which is called Behind Closed Doors, which is a body of work, and when you have it in a whole exhibition and people come in after the opening, which is really busy, but when people can come in a quiet moment and connect and see themselves in the work and connect on that level, it's really good. I'm not really into the whole celebrity and culture. I actually only do portraits of people that I respect, and not just because they're celebrity. I think I have a criteria that they have to have a little bit of a, like, why is it denim? Like, you know, some people it wouldn't make sense. So they have to have a bit of a denim history. So like Armani was a famous fashion designer. He's achieved a lot in his life, and it's not because he's a celebrity, and it's not because he has a jean brand, but he has brought a lot to the table. Debbie Harry, she was one of the first ones to be famous for wearing double denim. And she was part of this culture down in New York in the CBGB down the Bowery, where it actually transformed denim into like the punk denim, and it was very known for the styles of the day, which actually spawned punk in London, because Malcolm McLaren was there, saw it on Richard Hell, and took it back, and suddenly we got the Sex Pistols. So that was inspired a whole generation. And I'm trying to remember the question you asked now. It's doing the portraits are really cool. But in reality, my favorite work is the one which is self-initiated, my work, which connects with people. And when you do an icon, a famous person, people look at it and half the work is yours and half the work is like a recognized face. Maybe I'm underselling myself a little bit here, but self-initiated projects, which I spend a long time creating a whole body of work, means a lot more to me.
Well, like I said, thank you for being here, for sharing that with Paducah, for sharing that with the world during Quilt Week. You are a Paducah Arts Alliance Artist in Residence, so we encourage our viewers to learn more about PAA and the events that they're hosting, the artists that they're hosting, and certainly about Spring Quilt Week as well. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thanks for having me.
We look forward to welcoming you back to Paducah again and again.
Yes.
And thank you all for watching Tourism Talk. Visit paducah.travel to learn more about all of the events and arts and creative things happening in our community. We look forward to seeing you next time on Tourism Talk. How
1, 2, 1, 2, go. How